Welcome, everyone, to the North American Corporate Chess League Season 12. I am FIDE Master Peter Giannatos, and I am here with Grandmaster Caden Trofe, and we are bringing you the final of Season 12 North American Corporate Chess League. Caden, happy to be here with you this evening, calling the final knockout.
I'm so excited. I mean, I love this. I love this. I love doing commentary on these games. I love the format. It always leads to an absolutely fantastic time. And we are down. This is it. Everything on the line for these top 8 teams. Peter, go ahead. Tell us, who do we have to look forward to, these corporations?
Yeah, so we had a 6-week, not exactly preseason, but basically a 6-week qualifier that you were doing commentary for prior to this week. And there were about 40 teams in the qualifier, and now we're down to 8. And this is a knockout system. So basically it's team versus team, head to head, and teams get knocked out until we have a final champion. So the top 8 teams here are Anduril, Susquehanna International Group, Databricks, Meta, Capital One, Jane Street, IBM, and PWC. So very kind of, I would say, household names here in the final bracket from all different industries. So I will say, Caden, one thing that people should not sleep on here is that even though everybody playing as part of their corporate team is now a corporate professional and not a chess professional, we still have quite a number of strong titled players representing their teams. So I think that we should have some great matchups today.
Oh yeah, I have been absolutely astounded watching these players go at it throughout the season and just seeing how sharp they can be. I mean, it's fun to be doing commentary and try to tell people what I think's going on, but it's also fun to be surprised and have these players that just humble me and say, "You thought I was going for this, but wrong. I'm actually going for this." So, really, really exciting. How many? So you mentioned 40 corporations. How many players total were participating this season?
Yeah, we had just over 500 players, and that's pretty common for our NACCL. One of the things that we try to do, I see the moves are getting kicked off here, but one of the things that we try to
have liftoff.
yeah, we have a lip, but one of the things that we try to do is just allow everybody from a team to play, and then when we get to the final like this, it's the top 5 players on the winning teams that represent their team. So then it gets a little bit more serious and the matches get really tight. So here, Caden, I see that you have the game of Roland Feng versus Nalin Kana. This is from the match Anduril versus Susquehanna International Group. So yeah, let's jump right into this position. It looks like a highly theoretical one.
Yeah, so it's worth noting that Anduril is the number 1 seed. They placed first at the end of the 6 weeks going into it. Roland Feng was second overall. He was only a point behind Grandmaster Berge-Paulette. So he's been an absolute beast. And you see it here. I mean, look, he has 10 minutes and 9 seconds. This is a 10-minute with a 2-second increment time control. So he's ready, and already we can see some potential fireworks over on the king side. I would be sweating so badly already if I had the black pieces here.
I'm terrified.
H5,
I mean, this position looks rough, and Roland is playing very quickly here. He's looking to sack on G6 with the rook on H1. I mean, that would be fatal. So black needs something good here.
Yeah, I mean, Roland has to still be in prep here from the. I mean, I would assume so from the time that he is placing knight c5. Let's try to remove at least one of these attacking pieces. But will that be enough? I mean, I imagine a world where I play h takes g6, you play h takes g6, and if you have made this trade on d3, let me just put this on the board. So this is sort of the vision I'm envisioning, something like take, 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 and then this knight jumping into e4, and all of a sudden, and you see the eval bar completely shoot up here, so I might even be making a few mistakes for black. But bishop g5, knight trying to jump into f6. Um, Very nerve wracking
Yeah,
for
this is
Nolan here.
looks very dangerous to me. He ended up taking back with the pawn, covering the e4 square, looking to take on d3 and possibly play bishop f5. So he's, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, but here we
Yeah,
go,
knight
Caden.
takes
We're going to
d3.
get something similar.
Knight takes d3, only move. Yeah, no, sure, Stockfish. We never in a million years want to allow bishop takes g6. So that is very logical. It does happen. Yeah, pawn takes smart guarding from knight e4, but now I'm thinking knight takes d4 will stop that bishop f5 idea that you mentioned. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, I would expect h takes g6, knight takes d4, and something like knight c6. The one thing that, okay, he played f takes, which
F takes
may very well be
g6.
fine. Hmm.
F takes. I mean,
I would
in
be
this
scared
type
to play
of
that, but yeah.
yeah, in this type of faster time control, it's like it's a brave thing, but opening up your own rook, I mean, you don't want to just sit here and be the one defending. So, I'm somewhere in between loving and hating this move fully. Um, I think it's good. I mean, Roland Fang is slowing down for the first moment here, so finally he might be at least a little bit surprised. Now, the benefit to having this pawn on h7 is if this queen ever found its way, let's say, to the h file, you at least don't have to worry about queen h8. That will be blocked, maybe even defending through rook f7 at some point. So the bigger idea, and all around, I mean, point three is not bad considering for Nolan, he's going against a very well prepared and strong opponent in this game. I think he's done a fantastic job of just keeping things together so far.
Yeah, it actually wouldn't surprise me to see White end up castling kingside here, because at some point, if the the H file attack isn't just going to play itself here, the center is quite open and White's own king is there. So I would expect Black to play with energy here, trying to undermine some control in the center, maybe Bishop G4 or something like that, just to remain active in the position, because. The H file looks intimidating, but White also has to coordinate the rest of his pieces.
Well, yeah, coordinate the rest of his pieces, and you have to consider where you're putting your king as White here. With the H file being open, I mean, it's theoretically possible to put it on the king side, but not something I would want to do. And then the queen side, just feels very dangerous, probably even worse than the king side to me. So at some point, yeah, I like this bishop g4. Just try and loosen up White's center a little bit, and then look to go after this king on e1. Now, I'm just glancing. A lot of the other games seem pretty tense, with every point, every half point, honestly, mattering in this type of knockout format. I mean, we've been seeing this in the World Cup. Definitely have to keep an eye on those games in the background. Not sure if I'm seeing anything too crazy yet, but Peter, what about you?
Yeah, nothing too crazy on the other boards. This one started pretty heated just because of the opening that was played. The one thing I would say that makes these matches unique is it's the top four boards are pretty much like the direct match, and then there's a fifth board which serves as a tiebreaker. So there's never a tied match in this format. The fifth board, Black has the draw odds on the fifth board just in case of a tie on the top four board. So I will say that. Which did play last season. I don't know if you remember, but that those
I
those
do
fifth board
remember.
really do come in. Yeah.
I No, it was always good because I'm so glad we have that fifth board, but because the top four boards kind of decide it, for the most part, it's like that's where the focus is. And then I remember a few matches last year where it was like, wait, it's gonna end in a draw. Hurry, go check board five. Like, what's going on? What happened there? I really do like that. There's no breaks. This is a go go go. We have a rapid time control, and yeah, no tie breaks needing to happen. So knight takes d4 was played. And some hesitation from Roland here. He takes with the queen. Instinctively, I would have wanted to just play knight takes, but this doesn't look bad at all. You're actually guarding against bishop g4 now. There could be some crazy world where e6 happens and the queen is opening up, and maybe a little bit of pressure against d5 at some point. Yeah, bishop e6, very solid, makes sense, preventing pretty much everything I just said. So it's a solid move there.
Yeah, not a simple position. White's attack on the H file looks intimidating, but again, White has to finish development. He can't just be banking on something working down the H file. You know, Black is going to play Rook C8, potentially Rook C4 to dislodge the queen off of D4 and bring the Rook into the game. So it's not like you can just do whatever, you know?
Yeah, bishop h6 as a starting move makes sense. Gain the tempo, develop the bishop. I'm trying to figure out what are the next steps. I'm almost feeling like Roland here. Oh, we see a mistake. The first mistake in this game, rook e8. The computer does not like it. And I was just wondering if there was going to be a world where we give up on the attack, say after rook f7, he's defended. Okay, let's put pressure here. But rook e8 actually commits this rook instead of defending on the king side. It's maybe putting pressure on the center. And I'm now wondering if at some point we could see a queen f4, bishop g5, or knight g5, where Roland's able to actually continue with this attack because the rook left the f8 square.
Yeah, I don't like that move either. Just deactivating the rook from the open file there. It's a little counterintuitive. I know he's lining up the rook with the king on e1, but there's a lot of pieces in the way there. And one thing I will say, though, Caden is on board 2 of this particular match, Guadalupe versus Peterson. We have a serious attack brewing on the white king. With
let's go there.
Where knight g4 was just played, and the poor king side's looking very bare this evening.
Yeah. It's I'm a little worried. Okay, but let's take a breath. What if I just play something like knight f1? What is happening? I'm not even considering the greed of knight takes e4 yet. But knight f1, how are you checkmating me?
That's a good question. It does seem like White deserves to be checkmated. The question is a matter of what the move is. So that's a great question.
Maybe that's a little queen h4. Sure. Yeah, just because I don't know. I'm thinking in some world, the annoying part for Andrew here is that if you ever trade for this knight on g4, you're just going to be positionally worse. I play bishop takes. I dominate the light squares. I still have some attacking ideas with bishop f3 and h3. And you're just suffering a bit. So playing queen h4, just trying to almost encourage this trade. I could be for it. It's one of the things that I had to learn, unfortunately, the hard way at times, is that letting Black have this e4 pawn is surprisingly annoying. I cannot tell you how many times I've studied these types of openings from White's perspective and thought to myself, e4 isn't that bad. And the computer, as I'm trying to prepare whatever opening or look at whatever opening, it's like, you're wrong. Do not allow this pawn to be here. And it just really restricts White's movement, breakthroughs, able to play in the center, because you never really want to play f3. Shout out Ben Feingold. It's just a pain. It's just a bone in the throat right up in there. And we're already seeing queen f6 is being recommended as the only move to maintain this strong advantage, but kind of screaming to be played, if you ask me.
Yeah, it is. And well, actually, as you talk about that pawn on e4, it's actually kind of a reversed French defense. I mean, this type of position happens with reverse colors, where that pawn kind of prohibits the knight from being on f3, which then opens up ideas like Greek gift sacrifices and attack on the king. So I kind of, one of the rules I teach regularly at the chess center is that, you should always look for kingside attacks when there's no knight on f3 or knight on f6. It's kind of like a key defender of such attacks. So he did end up playing queen f6.
Yeah, queen f6 is on the board. I was just glancing at some of the other matches as well. Looks like we're relatively result free thus far. Not too many games decided, which is a testament to how close all of these matches are, which is fantastic to see. But yeah, queen f6. I mean, this is the difference. Knight f1 can do a fantastic defensive job, but as you're saying, Peter, that knight not being on f3, this is one of the big moments where we can see why is that such a downside. Well, I'm hitting your f2 pawn, and I'm just envisioning a world like if we try to play simple rook f1 defend f2, queen h6, h4, and then I'm thinking about bishop takes g3 and knight takes e3, just all these sacrifices, which is kind of making me think that part of the problem here of this position is actually this bishop on b2 as well. Because where are we getting attacked? On the dark squares, and this bishop on b2 is just blocked. Like, it's just staying here behind this pawn and not as effective as we would want it to be.
Yeah, definitely. I will say that in this particular matchup, board 5 has already been decided, which is the tiebreak board, and that went to Anderil. So Anderil, in the case of a 2-2 tie in the top 4, the tie break would go to Anderil. So this game, Francisco Guadalupe plays for Anderil. The board 1, of course, we had Roland Fang, also Anderil. I mean, they have the favorite. I mean, they are the favorite going into this event. So they're looking to score on those boards. It does look like Roland has quite an advantage, and here, of course, Francisco has one as well. So even if boards 3 and 4 were to flip the other way, Anderil has that edge from that 5th board going to them. So they have the tie. They have the tie odds here.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is so helpful. I mean, chess we're quite often playing for ourselves, and the few times I've gotten to be in a team setting, it's both exciting and nerve-wracking, not wanting to let the team down, and just having those draw odds, I think, goes a huge way as far as relieving some of those nerves. Bishop takes d1 was landing on the board. I was trying to think if there were any tricks behind d5. While I do like this bishop being open, being down the exchange is never ideal. And yeah, I think this is solid. This is just a solid advantage for Francisco now with the material. I do see a huge jump on our board 1, so I think we should go back available there. Oh, and we see it. Rook takes h6. Rook takes h6 on the board. Brilliancy. Oh, yeah. And this all comes back to that rook e8 moment. The queen on f4. What we were discussing back then, taking that rook off the open file, taking that rook from the defense. And it's completely rung true here for Roland Fang. Rook takes h6. If bishop takes, queen takes, and good luck. Like, it's queen h8, queen g7, knight g5, queen takes g6. At some point, white's position is so dominant, you could even just play king d2 the next move to emphasize it. You can take that rook, but if you're not taking with that rook, things are not much better. Valuation +8, just like that, with this rook sacrifice. Brutal.
In all fairness, he was threatening rook takes h7, and that was what black was trying to stop, but maybe black had to stop it in a different way. So not with h6, which is what happened. But okay, so that game goes to Roland, and Anderil is up 1-0 in the top 4 match, and it does look like Francisco has a big edge. Why don't we just take a quick glance at boards 3 and 4 to see if there's a hope for SIG in any way. But the problem is going to be that if Francisco wins that game where he's up the exchange with the black pieces, that would just be the end of the match, Andoril versus Susquehanna International Group.
Yeah, absolutely. And here, so at this point, I mean, I feel like it's no doubt Yuri here with the black pieces for Susquehanna needs to play for a win. He actually kind of has an end game. I think he could push a little bit. He's currently down a pawn, if I remember how to count correctly, but he, after all the capturing of pawns, this B pawn will fall. The rook, while it can take G5, is a bit out of the action. Okay, no taking on D4. Yeah, this rook G4 move actually is nice. But basically an isolated pawn that you can just press a little bit against. So board 3, I mean, there's a tiny bit of hope here, I would say.
Yeah, the issue is, Caden, that if Francisco ultimately wins his game, it won't matter.
It won't matter. Yeah, tie breaks go to Andoril. And whoa, G3. Wait, rook H2. Rook H2 and G5 is a huge problem. The rook can't go anywhere. You want to give the king space, but the rook can't go anywhere. So what you have to play F4 to avoid this sort of G5, King H5, rook takes H3 craziness. F4 is played. Oh my goodness, this rook on G4 went from being an asset to being in timeout. It's crying in the corner.
Yeah, that's unfortunate because white is running out of moves here.
Yeah. Now, I did glance at board 4, and there's, unfortunately for Susquehanna, a very similar situation on boards 2 and 4. Francisco is up the exchange, just trying to grind the win there. And Stuart Abrams for Andoril is also just up the exchange, trying to grind the victory here. We'll stay with this game just for a moment more. We should be having a result any second. But
yep, that rook is going to be okay. So the rook has been sacrificed, and yes, Yuri will win the game for SIG, but unfortunately, may not be enough there.
Yeah, so I would say since this is looking between boards 2 and 4, very much in Andoril's hand, even with this win from Yuri. What do we have going on in the other matches? I see PWC is actually lost on boards 3 and 4. So maybe...
Yes, we could check that out here. The interesting thing about that is they're lost on boards 3 and 4. They won the tiebreak game on board 5. So they are still very much in this, but they would have to win on boards 1 and 2.
Wait, so board 2, it looks like PWC is winning over IBM. So it will all come down to board 1. Barish Polets was the individual winner of season 12. He finished with a monstrous 16.5 out of 18, but he's on the worst side and down on time here.
Yeah, unfortunately, Grandmaster Barish Polets does not have a great position, but I do like his move, Queen G5. It's very practical. He's got this pass pawn. He's down the exchange. He's got this pass pawn. The queen trade is forced here because the rook on A1 is hanging, and he will get an endgame with a very deep pass pawn. I think his chances are actually pretty good in this endgame.
Yeah, this is actually crazy. Wait, rook c1 is bad. Rook d2, that's just a free tempo. You cannot go rook c2 because bishop d4 check would be a discovered attack on the rook on c2. So now he goes rook d1. Computer says rook e8 was the only way to gain advantage, but bishop d4 makes sense. Maybe looking to reposition this bishop. What are you doing against? I still think
practically, Aiden, black has still quite an advantage because it's very difficult to play this position for white, in my view.
Yeah, Bearish Bullets did this all throughout the season. Oh, he
Oh,
lost
but he
on time. He
flagged.
lost on time. He flagged. Oh my goodness.
Oh,
And
okay. So
no
that
way.
costs PWC PricewaterhouseCooper these chance in the
Yeah,
NACCL season 12 here.
they're out.
Unfortunately.
Wow.
They have been knocked out. Susquehanna International Group has officially been knocked out on the board we were looking at. Why don't we go to Meta versus Databricks, Caden? We still have board one there. Boards 1 and 3 there playing. So the match is even with Meta having tiebreak odds since they won board 5.
Okay, there was another flag on board 1, but in
Ouch.
fairness, Richard Chen was winning anyways. Wait. It's going to be 2-2. It's going to be 2-2, and Meta won the tiebreaker.
Meta won the
This is it.
tiebreaker. So
As long as
if
Mika does not stalemate.
that's right. That's right.
Wow.
Ouch.
No way. That's
Okay.
it.
Meta proceeds. Meta proceeds in the round that was at least a moderate upset as Databricks had a GM on the team in Nagy, who did win his game, of course, but unfortunately, with the match being 2-2 and Meta winning the tiebreak board on board 5, Meta actually moves on to the next round and is vying for the NACCL title in the battle of the finance companies, if you will, Jane Street and Capital One. We see Capital One going through with that 5th board tiebreak board once
Another
again
tiebreaker.
deciding the match. So these were, as you mentioned, very, very, very tight matches. Once we I think if we could take a look at the brackets and just walk through this to see exactly what happened, I would say we will actually go to break for just a moment, and we will get caught up after the break with the results. But really heated round here, Caden.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We are here in the semifinals of NACCL Season 12. We had a very exciting first round of today, and very close matches, Caden. Some of them came down to those fifth board tiebreak board, and Anderil, who finished at the top of the standings in the first 6 weeks, did make it through to the semifinals and can, of course, take their first NACCL season. But in this particular round, they would have to get past Meta. And Capital One, who made it through the first round, will have to get past IBM in this particular matchup to make it to the finals. So a number of interesting matchups here as we move forward.
Yeah, I mean, I'm stunned after that first round. I always expect excitement, and that's about all I can expect when it comes to this event every week. Two matches being decided on that fifth game is wild. It really emphasizes how important it is. And I mean, just like that, like I was thinking Databricks had a really good shot at winning it with Grandmaster Negi and FIDE Master Richard Chen up there, but they're knocked out. They still will be playing. They can play for, I believe it's third and fourth place. There will be the losers bracket for that. But as far as the overall championship, they're done. Coming down just to the wire there.
Yeah, no, I think and all of these teams have quite a top four, and then those fifth board tiebreaker boards, they're actually coming into play a lot. And looking at those matchups, those tend to be the ones with the biggest disparity. Is those fifth boards? It's kind of like you're at work and you're like, all right, who's going to be our fifth board? And you're like, you're pulling somebody out of a different department or something, just trying to get your fifth board in. And so, but those are really, really, really coming into play here. But okay, so this is Anderil versus Meta, board one. Meta, Praveen Sanjay here of Meta playing the white pieces, and Roland Feng of Anderil playing the black pieces. And what do we got here, Cade?
Yeah, so it started off as a French, one of the more exciting variations, I would say, with this G takes F6 already on the board, opening up that file for the rook. And, it's going to be both kings not feeling as safe. White's king, of course, probably not going to want to end up on the king side or needing to be careful about doing it. And of course, for Roland Feng as well, not wanting to put his king over there. So I'm not always the biggest fan of the French. I think it's not my style, but this is a good way to start it off. And Roland Feng, B6, putting that bishop on B7. He's playing with absolute fire tonight. You can just feel that he really wants to be there for his team to carry them to what would be for Anderil their first NACCL title.
Yeah, and I will say one of the things that is a little surprising to me here is how much of an advantage the computer, the bar is giving white here. I do not believe we are going to see that advantage stick around for long, because black to me has actually an easier game in the early middle game here. Black will play bishop b7 and castle queenside and play rook g8. So in my view, black actually has simpler play here. The computer may be seeing more things in a more long-term light, but in a rapid game, these are 10+2 time control games. I already would take the black pieces here, not because it's the French defense, but just I like black's piece play here.
Yeah, for those unaware, me and Peter in our Blitz games, we have I've played e4, he has played the French against me, so we've had our own battles in these types of positions. I actually not sure I like bishop c4. As you were talking, Peter, I was thinking maybe the best way for white to deal with all this would be to play g3 and put that bishop on g2, actually, where the pawn was solidified with the f2 and h2 pawns, and you kind of contend against this bishop going to b7. Now, the hesitation from Roland Feng, I think, comes because maybe there's going to be d5 next move, and trying to make sure before he just jumps bishop b7 that he's thinking that through. Although I'm not sure I fully believe in d5 with your own king being on the center for white.
Yeah, exactly. Black would be ready to castle queenside there. And yes, of course, d5 could come into play, but I mean, he also might just be contemplating something like rook g8, just targeting the g pawn. But yeah, bishop b7 certainly seems like the right move. And if black was able to play bishop b7 and castle queenside, I do not see an issue with black's position. And again, I would prefer to play black, even though the computer is suggesting white is slightly better here. I just don't see an easy plan for white, and I see easy moves for black.
Yeah, it's as much as I agree that d5 might not be it. I'm not seeing I'm not really seeing much in the way for white otherwise. Maybe somewhere I could optimistically try to play knight d2 and just throw that queen on the h5 and hope I'm able to take some material somewhere. Um, but yeah, bishop c4, I feel like it really comes down to if you get this d5 move. A6 was played.
Okay, I did not expect that.
Uh I did not expect that. The one variation I was thinking that bishop b5 could be annoying was after something like d5, um, knight a5 and bishop b5 here. But I doesn't feel like that was a big enough concern to worry about, especially because maybe we should just take on d5. No, computer is saying all my moves are terrible. Um, yeah, I would have thought a6, the whole idea was to prevent d5 or discourage it in some way, but it's not clicking for me. What I feel like white should absolutely play d5 now just to try and get something going. He plays queen e2 instead.
It's
Still
definitely a deterrent
d5.
against castle queenside, because now if castle's queenside, a6 is hanging, so it's at least a deterrent against black's kind of normal play.
Yeah. Sanjay, I mean, he's playing very sensible. I don't like it. I want I want to see fireworks. I want to see destruction. I want to see D5. I want to see something getting sacrificed. But okay, it's a game, there's a lot on the line. It seems like he's just trying to solidify and wait for the right opportunity to strike. But that's a very good point as far as the A6 pawn, because Roland Fang absolutely would want to castle queenside, and now he has to try and figure out how do you deal with that pressure. Knight a5, yeah, simple drop back, bishop d3, and then what?
Exactly. You're still, as long as I stay on the diagonal, you're still not going to castle queenside. So you'll have to attempt to play some other constructive moves. But yeah, white's position is growing on me a little bit, just because white got caught up with development and black's king is still in question.
Yeah, yeah. And all coming back to this a6 move, that felt just a bit in the wrong direction. Now, I do need to say, I'm very interested in this game. I think we're going to see some good developments, but I'm eyeing board 3 here, where it looks like Mika's just up a piece. I think we should hurry and go to this. What the what happened here?
I think he got zapped with maybe picking off a pawn too early, did Gene, with the black pieces in the opening before he got his king safe. And I think he got zapped with a little trick with queen, yeah, with a little pin action.
Just a little pin. I'm I'm really confused. I don't I don't understand the trap. It looked pretty simply like you're just gonna suffer if you take d4. Kind of makes me wonder if Gene somewhere just believed if he took all the pawns that he would have enough compensation for the piece, but these two bishops now. I mean, you took my pawns, great, but you left me with a pair of bishops and now a position that you opened for my two bishops. Mika's spending a lot of time here. I don't know if I understand why we're not just taking g7, but at the same time, it's not my pieces, and I don't fear as much it not being my pieces about rook g8. I just want to take a pawn.
Yeah, you're probably safe. You're probably safe in taking that pawn, but even if he plays conservatively with something like Queen G3 or or Queen H5, I still think he would hold a significant advantage in the position, even if he didn't go fishing.
Yeah, yeah, it's I mean, Queen G3, like we can just imagine here. Okay, good luck castling kingside. That feels very dangerous with Bishop H6. And if you're not doing that, let's say you castle queenside, I play knight D2. This is not much better. The rooks are going to come into play. So I don't think we need to spend too much time on this game. But as far as
Well,
this
here's the
board three
interesting thing,
goes,
Cade. Board three is completely winning, as you know, with the white pieces, but board four is completely winning with the white pieces.
okay,
So
wait,
those
hold
could
on.
very well cancel one another out.
Yeah, let me go there. Hold on, hold on. This just makes me like make sure we keep an eye on board five. Like it's gonna, it might come down to tie breaks again. This looks fantastic. We have another kind of solid pair of bishops for white, but this feels like more. This feels like we're about to see some material loss from black. Where do you even put this knight without things falling apart?
That's the
Uh,
issue. That's a huge issue, actually, since you can't play knight e5. I don't think it would definitely cost you. I think a little something something if you did that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we should take on e5 right away or if we should actually take on like there's f5, there's h3, there's this pawn hanging on a7 even. Um we could
Yeah,
also just
knight
play like knight
b5
takes
is more of a tactical idea that is
e5.
brewing because after
Oh,
a6 you could play queen a4 and you could play more tactically.
just throw the pieces. Just attack.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
attack. Yeah, lots of potential, lots of juicy options here. Um Costa is thinking here after d5, which is very understandable. Yeah, it's
definitely.
I mean as much as the attacking potential is there, it really is just positional because I think the problem that you run into with the black pieces is what am I doing? You know, if I take e4, then I'm potentially just weakening the king side here, weakening my pieces for some tactics. If I take f3, then this knight on h5 is quickly going to get hit. I mean, this knight b5, I'm even thinking that there's a world where you just play like knight d4 and you just say, I'm going to jump this knight into e6. I'm pressuring f5. Like that's how in control Stewart here seems to be with this position. He has tactics, but he also can just take it a little bit slow. He can, he can nurse this advantage a little bit. He takes on f5, the more aggressive approach, which seems very reasonable. Asking that question to these light square pieces over here on the king side.
Yes, Abrams is doing a service for his team, Anderil, because unfortunately his teammate on board three is still suffering, and I would say the other boards, the top two boards, which are contested between master level players, are quite complicated and even it's hard to tell what's happening in those games. And in the tiebreak game, which is board five, it looks like white, Mahir, has a big advantage, which would be in Meta's favor in the case of a tie on the top four boards. So remember, to those just tuning in, that the fifth board is a tiebreak board. So if the top four boards somehow split, which it looks like boards three and four, one will go each way, then it really comes down
Yeah.
to what happens on board one and two and of course five.
Yeah, and just speaking of those top two boards being complicated, I actually do want to go back to board one because I'm feeling like there's some updates here. Roland Fang has taken a pawn, but his king is still in the center, and I cannot believe the evaluation says zero point 0.1 here. I look at this and I just feel like someone has to be losing. And I would probably say it should be Roland Fang. I mean, this just looks incredibly dangerous for him. Computer's now screaming Queen E7 is the only move. Only move here. That's what the blue arrow means, and that's what it's telling us. Queen E7 only move to keep the equality. But that is a tough move to play, to drop your most powerful piece back like that when it's on a fairly good square.
Very much so. It might be necessity though, because if you try to castle queenside, which is the desired move here, while you can, the problem is when f7 hangs, that's with tempo, and e6 is also under attack. Now, for some reason, the computer does not
Wait
like
a second. Wait a second. Because you can just cut out the middleman and take on e6. We just skip a step. We encourage the taking of our knight. Get the knight out. I don't even want that knight on f7. Get it out of the way so I can fork your king and your rook. Give me the exchange up. That's nasty. Knight takes e6 is very rude.
So he did end up playing queen e7, Cade, and he had a necessity. He understood he needed to play that move. Absolutely.
Oh, he's locked in. I mean, yeah.
Now here, I like the move c5. I like the. Oh no, I can't play c5 because he's rook takes g5 is what black wants. Okay, I was looking for action. I was looking to keep the dynamic play and try to keep black out of castling. I do not want to let black castle. Okay.
Yeah. That rook takes g5 was sort of the unsung hero of this defense, trying to take two pieces for the rook. Queen h5 is played, still trying to discourage castling, but maybe it's possible now. What else would we play other than castling? I mean, we're up a pawn, so in theory we can give up f7, and that's okay. We could try to continue our defense with some. I mean, is there queen? No, queen. I'm just trying to hang c7. Yeah, he does castle.
The most practical.
Now knight takes f7, of course. And maybe this is simple. I mean, it feels complicated, but it's going to be a capture. Oh, wait a second. Knight takes f7. You might have to think about this funny sort of queen e8 move, trying to pin the knight to the queen here.
Well, he went for it.
He went for it. Could also just play like rook d7 or rook d4. Try not to be too fancy. I have a problem with that. I'm a huge fan of fanciness. But
yeah.
Okay, he goes for the third one that I didn't mention, rook e8.
Very complicated situation. Yeah. The fact that this is equal is not understandable for me. I mean, I'm only seeing the bar. I don't see any variations. Having these guys playing this position out, I think this is equally dangerous for both sides. 1 second, Caden, is there what's preventing rook takes e6? Oh, that's the threat. Rook takes e6 or bishop takes f5, I guess, is the threat. So he's going to get out of there. He's going to get out of there somehow.
Yeah, I was wondering if there's some sort of bishop g7 here, which he plays it with the idea of like bishop takes b2 or queen b4. So now rook takes e6. Rook takes e6. I was thinking we take b2. King takes queen b4.
Nice.
King c2. Now we can take. Oh, no. King c2 is a blunder because there's got to be some bishop e4. I guess I could just play like very simple king b8 and say you cannot take me because a bishop e4 is going to be very problematic. So if you can't do that, then rook takes e6 has been played, by the way. Bishop takes b2, only move.
Yeah. I mean but there's no way he would have allowed, because he allowed with bishop g7, he allowed two tactics. He allowed bishop takes f5 and he allowed rook takes e6. And in one of those cases, he would have seen bishop takes b2 as a possibility. And Roland is a master and so is Praveen for that matter. And I fully expect Bishop takes b2 here. He's just contemplating probably the follow up at this point.
Whoa, he missed it. Queen
Oh,
f8. Queen f8. He completely misses it. Huge blunder.
oh.
Oh my gosh, no way. Now, okay, in fairness, there was one move that I haven't actually seen what black does after bishop takes b2, king b1. So there's a chance he saw bishop takes b2, but he's like, well, my opponent just ignores me, and then what? And so he plays this queen f8. Now he plays bishop takes b2. So clearly he did see it, but somewhere in his calculation, he missed something, obviously. And
Well,
rook
the
takes
thing is,
e8.
though, Kevin,
It's a huge threat.
well, the thing is, I mean, he could have essentially had this same position with a tempo up, like with So I'm not sure, and upon like, and not have this discovered attack being threatened. So I'm not sure. I think out of necessity he needed to go for that, because this is just the same version, but well, it's a much worse version because there's threats on the black king here. And the thing is, the boards on boards 3 and 4 are still going, or 3 is still going, 4 has ended. They're going in the direction that we expected, but Meta has won the tiebreak board
Won the
on board
tiebreak board.
5. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, if Sanjay of Meta wins this game, that just could be the end of this match here because of the board 5 going in their favor and the other 2 being split. So that would require Micah on board 3 to finish the job. He's up a bishop. And if he does, and Sanjay wins this game here, which is clear that it's going to happen after that, and it's happened, Meta, as long as board 3 goes, this Micah on board 3 with the white pieces finishes the job up a bishop there, Meta is going to move on and defeat the team that finished first in the qualifying part of the season, Andoril. So this is
unbelievable. And he does it. Wow.
We're going to see Meta.
That's it.
That's
Meta.
Right. We are going to see Meta go into the finals. Now let's check out, Caden, if possible. We have Capital One versus IBM also looking to go to the finals. IBM is down a game, but they won the tiebreak board. So it is absolutely going to come down to the final game in that match on board 2. The board 2 will very much matter in that matchup.
Yeah, which Capital One currently has a much better, arguably even winning position, but they're getting low on time, and I could definitely see a world here where just things go wrong with a pass pawn for either side. So Capital One looking good to face Meta in the finals, but it all comes down to this game. If White wins this, then IBM does advance, but any other result and Capital One does advance here.
Yeah, and the thing is that even in this position, black also has draw odds, right? So that, very much is in the air. But that bishop on c8, Caden, has seen greater diagonals in its life.
Yeah, it's it looks like it's doing something, but it is being completely neutralized by this bishop on e4. The one chance, I think you have to desperately maneuver this bishop. There it is. Bishop e6 is on the board. And maybe we also could try to sneak this rook behind a8. Oh, I don't know about rook b6 because now bishop c4 and your rook it's a little bit cut off from defending this a4 pawn. This is
a draw is acceptable for black. Yeah.
Yeah, a little messy, but the time situation, Mori here with the black pieces, is under 20 seconds. This is like the most not ideal position to play for a win. Like I would
True.
prefer so many other positions, but having the time, having just that little bit of pressure, maybe gonna take that annoying pass pawn. There's a glimmer of hope.
That's true. I mean, black is going to be up a pawn in this end game. You never know what's going to happen. In a normal situation, obviously black is to be preferred here still, even though the computer says it's equal, because the f4. Okay, wait a second. What's
Wait.
happening here?
Bishop. Oh, he missed. He missed bishop e6.
Bishop
Bishop takes
e6.
f5. He could have taken it with the bishop being pinned on
So
e4.
just to
That
be
would have
clear,
been it.
this uh, whatever the result in this game, essentially black can win the game or black can draw the game, and Capital One advances. If white wins this somehow, then IBM would advance, having won the tiebreak board. So it all comes down to this between Capital One and IBM. Black representing Capital One can draw or win this game. White must win the game. It's going to be a tough task here. There's a threat on the board here. We can already get a rook versus rook position, Caden, and you and I might be here for a while because, you got to do what you got to do at some point.
You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, draw by agreement.
Oh, very respectful draw by agreement there.
The players in the NACCL are more respectful than those in Title Tuesday. Yeah, they don't play out their rook end games. It's very deserved. There was that one brief moment with bishop e6, bishop takes f5. It was winning by Capital One. Overall, very nice victory. And we have our finals that's set up. Meta between Meta and Capital One. I'm floored. Meta, I mean, honestly, is blown me away. I thought Databricks might be the favorite with their lineup, and then Anduril, technically was the favorite winning the season, and Meta came in and knocked both of them out. Unbelievable. And it's worth noting they won both those matches coming down to the tiebreaker board.
Yes, and that's what makes that board 5 so entertaining. So we will take a short break as we come back, but we are going to see Capital One face off against Meta for the final of season 12 of the NACCL coming up just after a short break. We'll see you then. All right, welcome back, everyone. We are headed into the finals of the North American Corporate Chess League Season 12. And the final comes down to Capital One versus Meta. And this is a big matchup here, Caden. They've surprised us. They certainly were not coming in as the favorites into this knockout format, but here we are. They are playing for the final. You can see here that Meta has defeated Databricks that had masters and GMs and a GM on the team, and then they went on to defeat the qualification stage favorites Anduril in the last very tight match there, and they found their way into the final. And we see Capital One, who defeated Jane Street, another very strong team coming into this, and then IBM in a nail biter. In the last match. So Meta is a team that has not yet won an NACCL season. Capital One has won a season before, so we're going to see if we can get if there's a repeat champion or if we're going to get a new champion this particular season.
Yeah, and we have liftoff. Now, I do want to point out that Meta might be setting the meta by winning twice on tiebreak, so having a solid board 5 and able to tie the 4 games and win those tiebreaks, which has been really good. Craig Hilby going for a very solid, more King's Indian attack style here against C5 E6. A bit flexible. Okay, I'm not an E4 player very often, but when I do against E6, I play the same. But I gotta be honest, I'm not sure if I'm playing for a solid position or an attack, and then I just always attack. So it's I don't hate this strategy, but I'm hoping to learn something from Craig Hilby on how to play this.
I think, Caden, I think you are looking at it in a too professional of a light here. You know, these are the corporate chess professionals, and so I would consider the King's Indian attack a very businessman's opening, if you will, something that you can play while you maintain a job at, let's say, Capital One.
Okay. The businessman opening. Let it be renamed a little bit, or at least for tonight. Queen E2, so not committing that knight on B1 yet, and continuing with the fianchetto setup. Now, what Sanjay is doing against a lot of these attacking setups is pretty standard. I've also played similar myself as black, even avoiding some G6 stuff that I would normally play because I prefer the dark squared bishop to be over here, and just keeping very solid both sides, kind of waiting to see what the other side is going to do, waiting for a potential commitment with E5, a commitment with B5, commitment with castle and king side. Just very patient from both sides so far.
The only thing I would say, Caden, I've attempted to play these with black, and then I've kind of avoided them for a while. The kind of pure King's Indian attack is the pawn on A6 actually is almost a tempo lost in a lot of times in these structures, because if the center ultimately closes, like I'm sure Craig will play the move E5 here, and the center closes down, a lot of times black strategy is just to play B5, A5, B4, and try to break through on the queen side. So having already played the move A6 is basically an additional tempo down from like the main line. So it's a small detail. I don't know how much it'll play out in this position, but we'll see what happens.
No, that's a very good point. It's one of those, as you say, you don't know how it's going to play out because these attacks, they can both be very destructive. And whoa, wait a second, 95 not going for the E5 setup. This is taking it, at least for me, into very new territory. I'm actually not sure what to make of this. This kind of makes me feel like it's going to be a bit more of a battle between E4 and D5 here.
Looks like that. I mean, it looks like black should likely take on E5 here. I mean, I wouldn't want to inflict any unnecessary damage to pawn structure or forfeit the bishop pair. Okay, I mean, queen B6 is also, I just didn't want to line up if I take on c6, I don't want to line up my queen on the diagonal with a bishop on g2, and I certainly wouldn't want to compromise my pawn structure. So I'm not sure I like the move queen b6. I thought knight takes knight was almost forced.
Whoa. Wait, what? What? B takes c6? Oh, queen b6 just blundered. I mean, positionally, but there's no queen takes because e takes and so many problems. Oh my goodness. Sorry. I'm like catching up in my thinking here. You're 3 steps ahead. Um Wow, because yeah, I mean, white would go through a lot of effort to get this pawn structure normally. This c6, c5 is quite bad, just because you're not really wanting to break through with c4 anymore, with the c file being blocked. But if you leave that pawn on c5, it can be a target quite easily. You also want to be careful about playing d4 now, because then a knight can just plant itself on the c4 square. So opening victory for sure with Craig. Um,
Yeah, very much so. Reminiscent of the Rossolimo Sicilian, except uh, White has not forfeited the bishop pair in this position. So he has both the pawn structure and position here, which you normally don't get everything, but in this particular case, he does. And so that particular opening choice there, Caden, proving to be a reasonable one, having an advantage here, a substantial positional advantage this early in the game.
Yeah, at some point you will definitely see me now. Instead of pushing the pawn to e5 in these structures, playing knight e5. Like I'm becoming a convert. Craig Kilby is teaching me a lesson, and I'm gonna steal it like full heartedly. This is how you play openings, by the way. Like if you ever wonder like how you study openings, steal everything, steal ideas, steal moves from other people. It's fantastic. Steal moves from the computer. That's how we study openings nowadays. It's such a good strategy, and I'm absolutely gonna take it into consideration. Now I'm glancing here. I see board 4 actually is looking fantastic for meta. So I think
The, the French is
we're gonna go
getting
there.
hit on both boards actually. So
Yeah.
that first board was a transposition to a French defense. This board here, board 4, Black is not getting a good side of the French defense in this particular situation.
I'm just trying to see how this even happened. So the D takes C5 capture was played earlier from Costa here, and he was just able to cement it fantastically. Take on F5, put the bishop on E3, bring that knight to B5. Now that knight could go to D6. It did go to D6. Marco Flores, by the way, just want to point out, still has 9 minutes and 30 seconds on his clock, which you can do.
Well,
That is totally fine if you have a different position. This is don't have this position and spend no time. It's something clearly didn't go right with the time spending up to this point.
I think it's at this point that's probably the only reasonable strategy is play for the clock, because the position itself, for a lot of different reasons, is not good for Black. You know, for king safety, for piece activity, for space, for pawn structure. It's a rough one. Black is semi kind of threatening the move f4 potentially. So you know, it's kind of hidden there ish, but not really going to do much. But Black can play for the clock here. That's probably the best he's going to get.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just looking at C4 right now and thinking, and it's played, and thinking, I'm gonna destroy you. I'm gonna crush everything, all your hopes and dreams. If F4 now, I think a simple C takes D5, saying I don't care. I'm gonna take your pieces 3 times over before you create any problems for me, is looking fantastic. If you take on C4, then knight takes F7 is going to pick up the exchange. I don't even know if it's best. Knight takes F5 might have an argument to be made for it. And otherwise, I don't know what you're doing. If you're not taking on, oh, he did play f4. Okay, he did play f4. So I think just c takes d5, and you're starting to smash through, break through to the king.
Yeah, not looking good there. The other boards in this particular matchup. So let's just at least take a peek at board two, Caden, just because
Yeah.
we haven't taken a look at that. And well, I believe it was a Catalan.
This came from a
It could have
Catalan?
been a Dutch defense, but I believe it was a Catalan opening.
Wow, it was. Don't transpositioning from the Catalan to a Dutch is just not, don't do that. Catalan, great opening, Dutch, Stonewall. I know I'm at least not a fan. No offense to the people that play it, but this type of position is exactly why I'm not a fan, where your pieces are just stumbling over each other a little bit, and I have a feeling something should be falling here. Something should be problematic. I'm eyeing the move f3, just questioning that knight on e4, saying if you go back d6, maybe I'll attack you again and play c5, and then I'm looking to break through with e4 at some point. If I take on f7, it needs to be king takes to protect your pawn on e6, which feels ugly. h4, wow, actually a decent mistake, but I'm not
Yeah,
sure
giving
why.
Yeah, it's not exactly clear to me. I'm sure it has something to do with uncovering the G4 square and the protection around the position. It could also very well be the move G5, which often happens in the Dutch defense. You're basically asking for that move to be played at this point. But I would still be concerned about like knight G6 and stuff. So nothing obvious here in my view on what black is supposed to do.
Yeah, I'm just I agree with G5 though. I H4 feels targeted at G5, like you're almost trying to prevent G5, but you do a double take, and I kind of think it almost encourages G5 more than it prevents it, because if you take and I take on with the H pawn, suddenly this H file is open, and if anyone's going to take advantage of it, it's going to be black. So G5 is interesting. Other than that, I mean, is there a crazy world where there's some knight takes f2 at some point, where you take with the king? No, that's just crazy. Because knight e4 you can always trade. Forget about anything
Yeah,
and everything I said. Just ignore that. Um, just wondering what other ideas. I guess c5 trying to undermine the knight could be an idea somewhere. I don't know. I mean, I feel like black should play g5, but I'm questioning the evaluation of equality a little bit. It's definitely not clear what black should be doing.
yeah, not at all. I will say, Caden, just if we wanted to take a peek at the fifth board, which serves as a tiebreak board, since these are quite contested games here. I mean, these are complicated games where the results are yet to be seen. Board five is heavily in Meta's favor, as Black has got an overwhelming position in that game, and if Black wins or draws the game on board five, they will. Meta would have the draw odds in the top four. So that is the game between Haider Munir and Mahir Salunke. So
Okay, sorry.
yeah,
For some reason,
which
it's not quite showing up for me on
sure.
this side.
Sure. We can also, if you'd like, Caden, go back to board one just to see how Craig Hilby is doing
I have
with
entered the match.
your your opening there, the one you were inspired by, the one that you wanted to share with him. I think you call it stealing, but I would call it
Yeah.
sharing.
Oh, it's
Sharing
just
opening
sharing. Yeah,
knowledge.
sharing. Sorry. Um, okay, so bad things have happened here for Sanjay. I don't know what that was, but I'm going to go back just a little bit. So Craig Hilby was continuing that pressure on c5, brought the bishop around, and wow, it's just a funky pawn structure, honestly. But Craig Hilby has just continued to apply the pressure, And now with c takes d5, it feels like he's very close to breaking through. We could see queen f4 next if c
Definitely.
takes d5.
Definitely.
Just
Yeah.
hello to all of your weak pawns. I'll hit f5. I'll hit d4. I'll hit the knight on e5. Yeah, this position is just beautiful. This is fantastic for Greg Hilby and would be a huge victory, especially with board 4 shaping up to be a win for Meta. Craig Hilby
Yep.
being able to strike for capital 1 and even it up 1-1 would be very good. Okay,
I will
so
say, yeah, it looks like board 5 will either be a win or a draw for black, which would mean, and black having the Armageddon draw odds with black, which would mean Meta would have tiebreak odds on boards 1 through 4. So how are we looking on boards 1 through 4? It looks like board 1 is in capital 1's favor, as Hilby has a massive advantage there against Sanjay. Board 2, Warren Wang, playing the white pieces from Meta, does have a small advantage in a complicated situation.
Not to interrupt, but it is confirmed a win for board 5 for Meta. Mahir gets it done again. There's no increment on board 5.
Wait a second, though. That is not a win for Meta. It was a flag.
Oh, wait, am I wrong?
It was a flag by black, who had draw odds in that game, and looks like white won on time.
Wait a second. Am I mixing up my players here, Peter? Correct me.
Yes. So that looks like white won on time in a rook versus rook position, which now gives capital 1 the tie odds. So
wait a second. At this point, it becomes a lot more stressful for everyone playing Meta. That's been their strategy: win the tie breaks. Now, for the first time, they've lost it.
So let's consider, Caden, that board 1, Craig Hilby, will win his game. Costa on board 4 just won his game. So those two cancel each other out. Okay, assuming that Craig finishes the job on board 1. So it really is going to come down to boards 2 and 3. So we should definitely take a look at either Warren Wang's game or Alex Cook's game on board 3, because it's very likely going to come down to those two boards, with capital 1 having the draw odds here.
Yeah, let's go to board 2, since big updates have happened since we last looked at it, and then we can give board 3 some attention. Sacrifice. There was G5 happens. Okay, G5 didn't happen right away, but ended up happening, and you got to count material, but all in all, it means that black is down the exchange, but has a bit of an attack here, and the computer now is saying bishop takes e4 is the only move, which is brutal, giving up currently what feels like your only defender on the king side, it being the only move just to eliminate this dark square pressure. I don't know. I'd be very tempted to play e3, which opens up the queen to defend f2 and try to keep my bishop guarding my king here.
That would be a tough move to play, bishop takes e4, because it also allows black some space and some action on the king. I do not foresee that move being played, but it may very well be played. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, it's I'm not so clear. I'm guessing the problem with E3 is actually at some point like bishop H5, because I want to play E3. I want to play like king F1. I want to bring the queen to E2, and maybe there's bishop H5 that's just gonna really open up, because as soon as the pawn leaves E2, F3 just becomes that little bit weaker. So bishop H5, knight G5, somewhere trying to jump into F3 could be the problem that the computer is seeing. There is a win for white on board one. Craig Hilby gets it done for count, and bishop takes E4 is played. Warren Wang does lock down.
Amazing.
Bishop takes D4.
Amazing move.
Wow.
I would never, I don't know how I would ever convince myself of that, but a great move by Warren there, just acknowledging that he needed to do that. I still find this position extremely dangerous for white. I do not know what the next move is. I would be afraid of king e7, bringing the rook over. I'd be afraid of bishop h5. I mean, yeah, I mean, already there's, this is already lost for white. So I am so shocked that this was an even position. I am shocked.
Yeah, E3 now is massive. Warren needed to, I imagine, bring the queen first, either to C3 or D2 to cover E3. Because now E3, I'm threatening queen takes F2, checkmate, and you just don't defend. You don't. Like, E3 is played, and Warren resigns on the spot.
Yeah.
Wait.
That I believe what that ultimately means, Caden, is that Capital One wins this because they won on board 5, and therefore, even though there's one game still going, he'll be from Capital One won on board 1, and an upset on board 2 with Mari Aram winning with the black pieces there in that very up and down game. That gives Capital One the 2 out of 4 they need on the top 4 boards, given that they won on board 5. So we can tune in to the final game here of this match, but that means that Capital One is going through. They are the champions of season 12 NACCL.
They are the the celebration. Capital One, yeah, they win. They've done it, and I mean, with how this third board is looking, Mika for meta, is pushing for the win right now. It all came down to board 5, and wow.
A heartbreaking board 5, I have to say, Caden. I just have to state the obvious here. It was a rook versus rook position. Black has draw odds in that Armageddon game, but he lost on time. Such a brutal way to give away that board 5 advantage, that board 5 tiebreak. We will, I'm sure, hear a bit from the captain of the championship team, who is Craig Hilby, when this final game ends. But again, these matches are so close, and what they come down to are these just minuscule little things. But let's see if Micah can finish off the game here as kind of a point of pride for Meta, but very tightly contested, very, very, very tightly contested finals here, which it looks like is going to end in 2-2 with a tiebreaker being decided on that 5th board.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, it's also worth just mentioning that Anduril did beat IBM for the 3rd place match. So they still have one game going there, board 4, which it looks like Anduril is also going to win. So they might get the clean sweep for that 3rd place finish. So big shout out to them. I mean, Meta came in, was able to take Anduril down, which them just absolutely dominating in that 3rd place match shows how fantastic of a result it is. And even though as we're winding down, it looks like Meta is going to be in 2nd place. And, we'll do all our big shout outs to Capital One. I got to say, Meta, just an absolute fantastic performance. They took down two monstrous teams to get to the finals. And even though they're on their way right now with this final game, it will be, well, not on their way. It is a loss. Nothing but respect to this team, and very impressed in their performance today. Even the finals match, they only lost in tiebreaks. So a big shout out to them. Second place, just absolutely massive results. And Capital One, nice job. Hopefully we'll be back for an interview pretty soon. Be able to get someone from Capital One to talk about. But there you see it, Capital One with the victory. Many congratulations. Meta, second, and Real, third place. Fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic season. Congratulations to Capital One on their second NACCL championship in 12 seasons. So, led by International Master Craig, he'll be proving that he can balance his work efforts and still keep his chess up and lead his team to victory there, and including a nice opening concept, if you will, in the last game that caught your eye. So, we can ask him about that as well, and maybe some ideas around that. So, we hope to get International Master Craig Hilby of Capital One on for an interview. And, we will be back shortly with Craig. All right, welcome back, everyone. We have here with us International Master Craig Hilby of Capital One. Craig, congratulations on Capital One's second NACCL championship. We actually went back and looked it up. You were also on the winning team of season 7 of the NACCL. So congratulations on your second victory for Capital One.
Thank you. I do remember that season. That was my first season of the NACCL, just new to the corporate life, joining a chess tournament here and there. And look at me. I think I've played the corporate chess league like 4 or 5 times now. So glad to be back on top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, many congrats. It's been awesome to follow your games all throughout the season. I'm curious, different corporations, different backgrounds. I imagine it all coming together in different ways. But for Capital One, I mean, how's the feel been throughout the season? Have you guys been talking too much, or is it a bit more you do your own thing and see how it plays out?
For the most part, it's been we do our own thing. We have our own Slack channel, and we're active in there. But everyone in the channel loves chess. So actually, in order to choose our top 5 boards, I assume some teams just like had it set or they went by the rating favorites. We kind of held a in-team round robin just because everyone loves chess so much. And so more chess to decide who gets to play more chess today. And I guess that, I don't know, with a stroke of luck, we got the right people, the right time, at the right place. And we just happened to go all the way, win all three matches today.
Yeah, that was
awesome.
really fascinating. I was mentioning earlier that, Capital One finished 6th in, let's call it the qualification stage, which is like the first 6 weeks of the NACCL. And it's more of an open style tournament. And then this week 7 is a knockout style. So it's nice that you actually had an inter-club tournament kind of playing for who the top 5 players were going to be representing the company. But as a corporate professional, Craig, how has been balancing your own chess and leading this team and of course your day job, if you will? How has it all been to manage? I'm sure those watching may want to hear about the balance of work chess life balance.
Well, Peter, you know very well, actually. I've had time for tournaments. I've seen you as early as last April in Charlotte when I went to play one of the Alto tournaments. And US Masters is coming up. I've played that in the past when I've been working as well. But in general, the work-life balance is really great. A lot of the people, even on my team, if they're not playing in the NACCL, they're following or they're watching the games. And no, I've had time for myself, especially. I'm kind of still trying to be pretty serious about my chess career, at least really making the push towards GM. And honestly, the work-life balance is pretty great, and it does allow me to do that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Fantastic. And Caden, you were you were in Craig's last game. You were kind of intrigued by an opening idea. Maybe you could share that.
Yeah, so I have to ask about 95 because I've kind of just guessed my way through playing a very similar King's Indian attack setup against these C5, E6 type positions. But where a lot of people, and myself included, play E5, you ended up playing 95. Was that something you've looked at before? Was that an on-the-spot thing? Like, tell me about that.
I think it was a bit of a mix. So against specifically this move order with so usually against the regular King's Indian attack where like D5 gets played on move 2, you immediately go knight D2. But against these con move orders where I get queen E2 in, I've looked with my opening prep, and apparently queen E2 is a bit more accurate than knight D2. And I could have sworn like during the game I had some line in there where I go bishop F4 and just like knight E5 or something. And I was thinking also about there's kind of a similar line in like queens pawns games where you kind of get like the bishops on G2 and F4 aiming towards the queen side. You get knight E5 to try to remove the knight on C6, which does such a good job of the queen side. But no, honestly, today I was really, really happy with my play because during the regular season, I was really struggling against people like around my rating. I went 1.5 out of 5 against people that were just like finishing in the top 10. It was not great. And so, I mean,
Yeah.
to beat fine in the first game and then just follow it up with two more wins, I'm just like really happy with myself right now.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's
no, very so.
fantastic. And I mean, it's funny to hear you say, since you led your team, that you weren't too happy with your play. But I mean, as you talk about still potentially pushing for the GM title, like it's fun to see that you have that ambition, and you still, even when you have a very good performance throughout the season, you hold yourself to a higher standard, just pushing. Like it's great. Love it.
By the way, I have to take this moment to also shout out my teammates because every one of our matches went down to the wire, and it was either 2-2, like we drew Jane Street, or we won 2.5 to 1.5. And Maury on board 2 really held his own, playing up like 300 or 400 points every game. Pretty insane. And then we had Alex, I think, win on board 3 in our second match. And so huge shout out to the team. Honestly, when I saw in the instructions that the winning team might get an interview, and I kind of like glanced over that when I read the instructions. So to kind of just win each game and just keep going through and finally be here, it's kind of did not expect it at all.
Yeah.
Well, and then I'll put it back on you here, Craig. So we really appreciate players like yourself who enter these massive, very well-known companies that have a lot going on, but yet you still find the time to commit to being part of something like the NACCL, something that is more of a kind of a side thing within your company. So appreciate you driving it and leading your team, getting your team involved in the NACCL, and quite frankly, leading them to the second NACCL championship. And so really shout out to you and people like you who help form these teams. So once again, Craig, congratulations to you, congratulations to your team, and Capital One as a company for the second title of the NACCL. And with that, I think we will sign off for this evening, and we look forward to seeing you in the next season.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Peter. Thanks, Kaden. And we will be back to try to defend our title.
Awesome.
See you then.
All right.